business leaders and surgeons and barristers. I see women who are going to win elections and science competitions and arts awards.
Do not be afraid to fail.
We can
All righty. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Easter weekend to you all. We are giving our talk audience something to talk about this Easter weekend by discussing some of the uncomfortability with the taboo topics in regards to finances, strategic planning, and truly just money management. And as we continue on this journey of dollars and cents and making it matter, making sense matter, we're on a quest to just get more information. To be completely transparent, this season for us has been all about leveraging, all about being intentional with leveraging and really prioritizing the things that are going to grow us as people, as individuals, our wealth, our families, and truly that starts with the dollars and cents and understanding those dollars and cents. So for those of you that are new to this platform, I am Tiffany. I am the owner and operator of this platform, a licensed clinical social worker by trade and a community activist at heart. And this platform was created as an opportunity to connect with the community, to discuss those taboo topics and bring insight, education, and awareness to those things. I will hand it over to the executive partner to my left to introduce herself, and then hand it over to our talk guest for today.
Hello, everybody. As she has already stated, happy Easter weekend. We pray that your Easter Sunday will be even better. I am Michelle Saxton. I am the executive talk partner for Tiff Talks, and we are here to discuss everything finance, things that's uncomfortable for everyone to talk about. So we're going to dive in with our guest for today. She will introduce herself, and then we will get started.
Hello, everyone. I am Michelle Caldwell. I wear many different hats, so I'm an entrepreneur. In addition, I am a financial services professional. I have been in banking for about 12 years now in various roles in the bank. And I also have a degree in accounting, and I'm ready to sit for the CPA exam, but I don't want to sit for the CPA exam, so.
And what she did not share is that she is a serial entrepreneur, and that has really played into her experience and her wealth of knowledge in strategic planning and business and ultimately financial literacy. And as Kinshay said, we're going to dive right into it and just kind of giving a little insight from our previous episode with Gerard Clark. We talked a great deal about developing and creating these organic safe spaces to be able to talk about financial literacy and be comfortable in talking about financial literacy. And I can truly say that I was just fortunate to be able to have parents that model behaviors, that model healthy relationships when it comes to financial literacy and money management. And that has played into my own experience with money and how I manage my money and how I kind of just plan out my daily living and my expenses. But the things that I'm not as comfortable with that I had to truly learn as an adult, those things have come by self-discovery, being able to say, you know, this is what worked for this goal that I was working toward. Let me see how it applies to this next goal that I'm venturing into. So I can remember when I decided to purchase my home, I had like set aside, and I was truly, you know, just to be honest, planning for this great, glorious vacation to celebrate my 25th birthday. And because I had saved up all this money, because I was going to go out and I was going to make it rain, like I was going to enjoy myself. And because it fell by the wayside, I was like, what do I do with this money? And at the time I was living in an apartment. I had been in my apartment for maybe like a year and a half. And I remember getting the notice and they were saying they were going up on the rent. And I'm sure it wasn't a lot, but it was kind of like, why am I spending so much money to stay in a place that I don't own? So that prompted me to be able to look into purchasing a home. And truly, not a lot of people at 25 are thinking that, but it's because, my mom and my dad are entrepreneurs themselves. They own their homes. So I wanted to be able to have something of my own. And although my dad came to be like, okay, Tiffany, I'll help you through this process. I'll do X, Y, and Z. It was something that I wanted to do for myself, because taking ownership for that, to me, just had more value. So being able to, scout out and truly interview, for lack of better wording, different realtors and say, this is what I'm looking for, and go through that process. Now, moving toward going into and purchasing a second home, those things that worked, I'm discovering and practicing self-discipline in those same things to be able to set myself up and prepare for this next venture. And I truly feel that when it comes down to financial literacy, when it comes down to strategic planning, it's all about self-discovery. It's all about self-discipline. So my first question for you is, how exactly does self-discovery, and discipline plays into leveraging dollars and cents?
I personally think the best way to learn finances is to have something go wrong.
Wow.
Personally, when you have your account overdraft or you can't make that payment, then you start saying, what could I have done differently with my money and manage it in the future? Because now I'm going to get out of this situation, but how do I stop this from happening in the future? Am I spending too much eating out? Am I spending too much maybe at Starbucks? Am I just blowing the money in the club every weekend? You have to start making those hard choices to say, are my daily experiences creating issues where I can't pay my rent, my bills that really should come first? I know this isn't part of the topic yet, but for me, what I do when I get paid, I set up bill pay and I pay all of my bills first. Then once that money's left over, then I know, okay, I like to vacation a lot. So I have X amount of money set up for this trip, or I have this expense that's coming up. I know I want to at some point buy a new car. Maybe I'll put a little bit aside to save for a car. But the best experiences to me, especially when I tell my smaller cousins, the younger cousins, if you have those mistakes, you're going to learn from them, and you'll know how not to do it in the future.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom always stated, you have to fail first in order to succeed, because you don't know what it is. Like the struggling aspect, a lot of people say that if you struggle, then speaking on church, we talked about it last night, but struggling, then God puts us through these tests, but in order to get through this test, we had to struggle for it. I don't want anything handed to me. I like to work for mine. So that's why she always said, baby, you're going to have to struggle a little bit, but just think about what's to come. So that's where I get that from.
Wow. Well, I was not expecting that answer. I wasn't expecting that.
That was good.
I was not expecting that. But I mean, I can, I can understand that and identify with that. And I think that's where you truly find the value in things, because you understand what it took to not have that failure again, or not to fall again. So you make a conscious effort to do what you need to do to plan and prepare for it.
At that point, I don't want to ever be in this situation again. Get it together.
Yes. Now, I would have to say, when I first completed my undergraduate, I probably was making $40K, and that made with a little sprinkle on top. And for me, I found that even with that small amount of money, and that was the best life back then, because I didn't have a true home or true bills or true kids that I needed to pay for and that I was responsible for. But even with that small amount of money, I was able to leverage that small income to live out the best life within means and within reason. And as I continue to advance in my career, continue to have more money and make more money, because I knew how to, our elders would say, live on the fragments. I knew what it meant to be able, like you said, to take money and say, let me put a little bit up away for this, whether it was a rainy day or something that I was saving for, or something that I was anticipating, planning, or preparing for. But now in this journey of being an entrepreneur, I found myself having that desire to truly elevate my income so that I can have more money to invest in my business. So ultimately, my goal is to be able to elevate my income in a way that I can invest more into my business, and the investment then becomes my income. Does that make sense? So I guess my question for you is, just with everyday life, learning what it means to be expansive in life versus, like you said, making it rain in the club, being expensive, living beyond your means.
Right.
When it comes to living that everyday life and trying to leverage that, what strategic practices can one apply to their daily life to move from being expensive to expansive?
I think the best way that I've had a few people reach out to me on Instagram and stuff about budgeting, setting a budget. You know how much money you're going to bring home pretty much every month after you pay taxes, etc. My first thing is you have fixed expenses. So you know what your rent is going to be, you know what your mortgage is going to be, groceries pretty much within reason. Well, nowadays within reason. We're crazy right now. Gas, within reason about how much you're going to spend. So break all of that down, and then you can say, this is what I have. Then also, what you didn't ask me about this either, I'm big on saving for retirement. So have your job automatically take that out. If you don't see the money, you're not going to miss it. So especially if your job has a match, take that match, because you leave free money on the table. If they're giving you a 3% match and you already putting 3% in, that 6% of your income is going to compound. It's going to help you later. But if they're going to take it out, go ahead and just do that. But then you know what you have left to do what you want to do. And if you want to make it rain in the club, that's your business. You could have X amount of dollars to go make it rain, but you need to know that you have those expenses set up, and especially the savings and the rainy day fund. That's really important to me. For my retirement, one of my goals is each year I like to put 1% more. Really, I've started doing 1% a quarter. Like each quarter I go in and see what I need to change as far as investing. And then I try to up it a little bit, and you're going to get a raise at most of the time. Get a raise at work. So if you're already getting that raise, you're not going to miss the money. But later on, when I say I want to retire, or even if say I want to buy a new house, I could use that money in my retirement account to buy a primary home, and it's gained all this investment money. So take those free options and those things that are your job is giving you. My advice.
I agree.
That's definitely leveraging. And for my job, they match every percentage, up to 7%.
Okay.
So I definitely take
max it.
And I don't check
your benefit package.
Yes. And I don't check it as much as I should or as I could. But when I do look at it, I'm like, oh, look how much is stored away. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, be able to have that money available to invest in something else, whether it be a home or a business.
For college, for your kids' college, there's different, the IRS has a bunch of qualifiable expenses that you say your home got damaged in a hurricane. You could touch that money and redo your house, and you don't have to wait on insurance and all this other stuff. So it's very good to have it.
Yes. And I think that's all about being able to understand quality over quantity. And for me, in this season of my life, I am all about quality. Like, not that quantity doesn't matter, but quality just weighs that much more for me. And being able to understand that when it comes down to quality, the value long term is what's going to make the difference for me in life, in business, and finances, and entrepreneurship. It's all about quality for me. And what I've come to also find is that most people kind of feel like recognition comes with hard work. And I'm finding that that's not always the case. Recognition comes from knowing your own worth. And when you know your own worth as a person, then that is what unlocks the possibilities, but also the opportunities. And we talk so very often about leveraging our finances, but being able to leverage your finances also means being a good steward over your finances, being a good steward over your talents, being a good steward over your worth, and not looking for always to be recognized for the hard work, but for the worth that you have within yourself.
Right.
That's good.
So another question that I have is, what advice can you share about strategic scaling that if you practice and hold true to your investment, what will pay off within the next 5 years?
I'm going to give you an example. My daughter is 5.
Okay.
I started her it's called a 529 college fund. I obviously invest more in my retirement because I want to retire much sooner than her going to college. But every time I get paid twice a month. I put $25 in each time. So that's twice a month, $50. She's now 5. I've invested it. It's now, the value is worth $13,000. So in a matter of 5 years, just a small little pennies that I'm putting in there, it's compounding and it's making money for her. So when it's time for her to go to college, she'll have that money there.
Yeah.
Granted, I want her to get scholarships and stuff, but then it's also a tool for me to be able to talk to her about, hey, this is a savings account for you. Let's talk about school. Let's talk about investing. Let's talk about saving. This is how you invest. This is an aggressive type of an account. These are stocks. These are mutual funds. These are bonds. So it's a great tool to just show her what you can do. And then, not that I'm going to name plug, but Fidelity has the option. I feel like she has enough toys already. If you know my daughter, she has enough toys. We don't need any more toys at our house. So I'd say, tell my family, like, if you want to give her a toy, I'd rather it's a way for you to just deposit to her account. If you want to just deposit $20 in there for her, it's going to compound and it's going to help us as well. And other options, they have a credit card, which that's a whole other discussion. I may not need to talk. That's a whole other podcast about credit cards, but it's a rewards card where you use it. Say I pay it off every month. I can redeem those points to go to her account as well.
Yeah.
So there's different options for talking about money with her and to just invest it within 5 years.
Yeah.
With the little bit that I've done.
That's good.
That's good. And that brings up my question. When it comes to just African Americans, period. I'm just going to speak on African Americans, but we just simply don't know. So about leveraging, about budgeting, fortunately enough, like my grandmother would do, she would pay her tithes first, and then she would pay everything, all of her bills. So if she ain't got $1, she don't have $1. But that comes to where I was able to do with Fidelity. I did an IRA for my retirement. So I was like, I wasn't missing it. I'm salary. So I wasn't missing the money coming out. But then when I called to check, now keep in mind, I've only had this IRA for maybe 7 years now. But checking the IRA for my retirement, I'm at $50,000. Come
on now, $50,000.
So I'm like, okay, I need to retire. But I also want to invest. But these are things that we don't talk about in the homes. Like my grandmother, she just did it. Not that we had the conversations. She modeled that behavior. But in other homes, they're not modeling this behavior. They just simply don't know. So when you got those who making it rain in the club, not thinking about that they got to pay their lights tomorrow, but they hoping that they can benefit from making it rain, and they sometimes don't. So everybody play like a guessing game or that type of thing with their money. And how can we introduce these conversations in the home for the communities that lack it or just simply don't know?
I think we're just going to have to talk about it more. I grew up in a household. My dad is like a stock aficionado. He watches the stock channel all day, every day. My mom is very financially savvy too, but she's not as much as him. He's into Bitcoin, and I'm not fancy like him, but he's into all that kind of stuff. But I grew up talking about it. We grew up having those conversations. So we just have to start having conversation. And my dad is the type of person, he's going to find all his friends from high school and he's going to have that conversation with you about, hey, what's going on did you know about these coins that they can do this, and this for you? He's going to talk to a rock about it because he wants everyone to know and to benefit. He wants his community to benefit. So I think we just need to talk about it. We have to start being more candid about, hey, what's going on with your money? Are you making your money work for you? Are you working for your money? Because I personally, I want to have income and not really do anything. I want that income to come to me, and I want to be able to have quality time to spend with my daughter, but we just simply have to have that conversation.
Yeah. So I think Gerard had brought up that, like, the casual conversations, like, we're not talking about it as we should with people. If we can just casually talk about it, we don't have to say, hey, what you did last night or what you did with your paycheck, but introducing the conversation as, like you said, are you making your money work for you, or are you working for it? And then just a generic type of way.
Yeah. I like what you just said about he would talk to a rock, you know, and I believe I believe that is because when you have that peer group, when you have that support group or that support system that is used to those conversations, is not a foreign language, you know. And sometimes it takes those people that are willing to just talk to a rock, just like, hey, did you know I was able to do X, Y, and Z, to be able to initiate the conversation, like Shay said, for it to truly be organic, and for it to be a point of, are you making your money work for you? Are you working harder for your money?
And
so
actually,
I like that.
You both follow me on Instagram. Sometimes I'll post financial stuff or like random entrepreneurial stuff. So a couple months ago, I posted a quarterly, what my each quarter, what I've made on my 401k. So it'd be X amount of percent. And people message like, how did you do that? How did you do that? And I said, I'll candidly have a conversation with you. If you come to my DMs, I'm gonna have a conversation with you. Yeah. I had a friend that I've grown up with since middle school. He said, I finally opened my IRA because of the conversations that we've had.
That's good.
And I was like, this is great stuff. This is great stuff. You like all these sneakers and stuff, but you're investing now. You're investing behind the sneakers, which he sells sneakers, but he's using that side income to invest. So it really made me happy to have those conversations, but we have to just have them. We have to just put it out there. People will ask you questions and stuff. If you just put it out there, they'll come.
Make it less uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
It was good. I'll ask another question. What can we share? What can you share about strategic planning that will aid in financial literacy that will generate generational wealth?
For generational, I think my dad is the best thing for me for generational. Well, really, it started with his dad.
Okay.
His dad was one of those people where he owned rental properties. He worked 2 jobs. He retired from 2 different jobs. He was in the military. He decided to start investing in rental properties, and he used to take the boys with him. Hey, this is how you fix this. This is how you collect money. This is how. I remember him having a little blue book and doing his general ledger on his little blue book. I learned accounting from my grandpa.
Okay.
Of a little blue book, and then I acknowledged him like, this makes sense. I realize what he's doing now, but just having those conversations. I think that the biggest thing is just having those conversations and modeling behavior. Like you all said, if you model that behavior, your kid's going to want to be like you most of the time. So if you model that behavior and then you help them get to where, like my mom went to business school. My dad didn't go to college. I ended up going to college, and I didn't start as a business major. I started as a pharmacy major. And I got to organic chemistry and I said, this is not for me. It was an 8 a.m. class. No, not for me. And so I became undecided, and I took an accounting class, and I was like, this is interesting. And then I think I took the class again, and then I started thinking, I was like, my grandpa used to do this with this little blue book with the debits and the credits and stuff. And I started making all A's in these business classes because it was something that I think I was destined to do. I think I was destined to be an entrepreneur, those type of things. But I didn't realize that until I started thinking about, I was hanging out with my grandpa and he did this. My dad owns a cleaning company. My mom is a notary now. Like they're entrepreneurial spirits. My mom was a project manager. I was like, this is in my blood to do this, but I never thought about it because we didn't have those kind of conversations. It was more of just go to school, make sure you pay your bills. But I think having those conversations with your kids about money and about things that they want to do, it'll be a generational wealth. Just make sure that you support them and make sure that they know that you're there for them to support them while they're going through these different steps and stuff. As far as entrepreneurial, my business partner, she's pretty, she likes to do generational wealth. She wants to create a business for the kids, for them to start doing stuff with us in our event-based business, so we can teach them this is how you make a business. We're going to show you how to build your own table, so you can sit at it and do what you need to do. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. We can take over it, but we want to at least give you the option to show you how you can do it too.
I like that.
I agree. I completely agree with that. And that's part of the reason that my children are so involved with this platform. And that is because I think it's good. It's good to be able to say that I'm leaving these things to you.
Right.
But it's even better to say that I'm instilling these things into you. And being able to have them a part of what goes into the production, what goes into the editing, what goes into the day-to-day, whether I'm here or not, you can continue. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I think that modeling that behavior and having them a part of it, taking on their ideas and growing their ideas and making them a part of your growth is what is going to be lasting for them. Even the smallest thing, like I remember with our rummage sale for our first issue magazines, it wasn't even Shay and I's idea, it was Jaden's idea. And she kind of outlined like what we should do, how we should promote it, the price, like everything, the profit, everything. And it's done well. We have 2 of the 4 magazines that are completely sold out because of how, like, her plan and how she put it out there. So I think making your children like a part of it, even like you said, being able to go back years from now and say, hey, I remember doing this with my mom, or I remember doing this with my grandpa, and it was something that I enjoyed. It's a skill that they can't get anywhere else. That's good.
This was good. This was real good.
I had fun with I used to write it, scribble all in his general letter. He used to get kind of mad at me, but I know now what it is.
Right. I agree. This has been by far a good conversation. I think it was piggybacked off of Gerard, and then we have this one, and we have one final episode to this money mapping series, which we will outline on next week.
And I think for me with this series, and the reason why we wanted to make sure that we did it during this kind of blooming season is to be able to, like you said, create a safe space to be able to have these uncomfortable topics. And our hope and our anticipation is, especially in strategically releasing the show on Saturday, is to be able to say, when people go to Easter dinner, then they can have these conversations like, hey, we just talked about this. I just saw Tiffany show, and Michelle and Kinshay and all of us, they were talking about X, Y, and Z.
Tomorrow, y'all gonna post it, and I'm gonna post on Instagram. I'm gonna say, hey, y'all can come to my DMs and talk to me about money today. Sometimes they be getting kind of crazy. They be getting kind of crazy with all this Bitcoin, and it just be too much. It be stressing me out.
Yes. Well, you have definitely been our ram in the bush to be able to engage in this conversation in a very comfortable presentation and manner. And we appreciate you definitely for being a part. We look forward to being able to have you on and talk about those credit cards that you were not.
We can talk about credit cards. We can talk about NSF fees. Payday loans.
Talk about. Because truly our community, needs to they need to hear it, they need to see it, and
they simply just don't know.
And this series for me has been a call to action, and I'm sure Shay would agree. Like we're working on things on the back end to be able to say, okay, now we've talked about it, this is how you apply it, in a fun way, so people can be a part of it in a positive way. So we may need to have dads to come and be able to be a part of our game night.
Y'all can edit this out. I had to warn my bae. I had to say, to be ready.
But that's the thing. And I think, and we were just having a conversation about this at work, how even when it comes down to relationships, early on, 10 years ago, I don't even recall if my husband and I talked about finances, to be honest. And fortunately, we just kind of worked out and evolved in a manner where we were able to complement each other financially. But I know that's not what always happens. But in this day and age where, every person is their own person and they're managing their own being, then conversations like these are those that you need to have early on the first date or the third date.
And other things to the mix, because bills become due very quickly.
Yes. So a couple of announcements before we wrap up for today. And before we do that, I also want to ask you your testament for this evening. We always ask guests to share that one takeaway that they want to be sure that the audience is able to apply to their daily life.
I think the main testament that I give my friends all the time is save for yourself first. So like that retirement thing I was saying, don't leave free money on the table ever. That's part of your benefit package. That's what your job is paying you. They're banking on you not to use it. So use it. That and all your vacation time, use all of it down to the last minute.
Yes. I think you were talking to me, you were reassuring me, because I definitely write down, and I know what my salary is going to be, but when I every payday I write down my salary and my PTO next to each other, so I know how much time I have available to vacation. So I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. A few announcements, as I kind of casually mentioned, is through our rummage sale, we have sold out of 2 of the 4 magazines that are on sale. So now we only have available the Man in Power and the Invested in Power that are available under the rummage sale. But we also have our latest installment, which is Legacy and Culture. And those magazines can be purchased through our Shopify storefront and our IG, on our IG page. And since we are in the season, we're also preparing for volume 6 of Community and Power magazine. And I'm sure it's going to be a very festive one. This one's going to be all about elevating legacy and what that looks like. So I'm excited to get started working on that. We've already have a couple of entrepreneurs lined up that have agreed to be a part. So I'm excited to get that in the works. And we will also, at the conclusion of this mini series, be hosting a game night all about financial literacy. And we're going to have Michelle and her dad there so that they can share in the conversation all about financial literacy, strategic planning, and money management, and about the Bitcoins and about the credit cards also. So make sure you guys stay tuned.
Too stressful.
And also make sure that you continue to follow us on our social media platforms. So that is our home social media platform, which is IG, which is here, the very top one, which is JKC Marketing. And then our podcast, which is JKC Podcast on YouTube. So we encourage you guys to follow us on all social media platforms where we are available, and to check out our Talk Tuesdays, when we will be recapping this episode and share our takeaways from today. Michelle, we appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
And we thank you for being a part of the conversation and lending your time to us. And to our Talk audience, we appreciate you guys just the same. And as always, we encourage you to keep talking.